hard to be free. It's hard to give all of your soul and
We back, baby. We back. It's been a while, but here we are. We're going to come into it pretty hot. First off, coming into it really hot with Darren Waller's new rap song. It's going to be a tough decision to choose between Patty's and Waller's song, but we'll have to make some decisions, some cuts. Tough decisions like this league has had to do over the past little while. Since the last podcast, we have had our NPL draft, our first rookie draft, as well a new general manager enter the league. We have once again had another GM fired. I think that's the fifth one after the first inaugural season. So Commish ain't playing. It's the fifth one. Might not be the last one. Definitely not the last one. We are looking for people that, of course, want to be dedicated to the league. You know, we want to be not an absolute maniac. Everyone doesn't have to be a maniac, you know, like me and Bowen's level. We just need to be active enough. You know, look at your messages. A trade offer or a message is from someone that's, like, if you're not going to respond, it's from someone that I would probably rank that's better as a GM. It's the whole point of this. You know, if you don't like it, then I don't see the point of being in Dynasty. It doesn't make any sense. So, coming in hot, yes, fired, Ben L. Not good at responding to messages. Didn't really do any roster moves. It doesn't really make sense to be in a Dynasty league. Again, this is just a $10 league, you know, but it's a hobby for people. It's an interest, and it's something that I dedicate a lot of time towards. So Ben L33 got the kick, and we introduce Mr. Mark Bevan to the league.
Pigeon.
So he is a great addition to the league. He's got a lot of experience, a lot of ball knowledge. We're very excited to have him in there. It's somebody that we've kept an eye on that we wanted to introduce into the league for months now. So it just so happens that someone was making their way out, and Bevan is a great addition to it. We're really excited for him to join off the hop. He's already done multiple moves. Roster managing from day one, couple trades, enjoyed the rookie draft at a very high spot. He's lucky enough to come into the league with a team that was well set already. So he's kind of laughing right now, and it's high competition for his division, which I might as well include that as well, that the division's got to swap up. It makes them both competitive and I guess like personable. You see a lot of the cemetery lads, they're grouped into one, and you'll see a lot of buddies kind of grouped into the other one. So it's a nice mixture between the both, and it keeps it entertaining for rivalry purposes. Now, I'm hoping not to make this too long. Don't want to scare anybody off here with the first one back in a while. We're heading into the deep off season here, our first real deep off season. A lot of retooling can still happen, but we're most likely entering into more of a quiet zone unless someone decides to get a little crazy and kinky. I don't expect too much action compared to what it's been like for the past couple weeks that I've been on Commish vacation, if you want to say. So we'll just kind of go over some of the deals that have been done, and I wanted to go through a draft grade system and kind of just see how everybody did throughout that. As you can kind of see, I've got everybody's, team name right there. Some are lacking, some are unreal, but yeah, we'll just go through those after roster moves and see what else would have to be addressed for another episode. But as of right now, this is the gist of it. Alrighty, so roster moves. So we'll go over those quick. You're gonna notice there are rookies, undrafted or drafted, that are put through here, and I'm not going to go through the whole list of including people that picked up undrafted players. I might talk about a noticeable one here or there, but nothing too extensive for that. This is going to be solely just for the picks that you did yourself. So first trade, we'll go off the hop. This was the first one after the draft. It was between myself and Owens. Owens is able to acquire a LA Charger wide receiver, who now that it's been a while, he does not have anymore. And I was able to pick up 2 quarterbacks. The first one was the backup, or is the backup, to Joe Burrow. And the other is the possible backup, but looking like number 3 for the Jets. This is for me to acquire more depth, and for Owens at his time needing more wide receiver help. That would lead into the next piece, where one of the bigger trades of the year, I'd say, or for the league, was myself shipping Jalen Hurts and Jerry Jeudy over to Mr. Eagles, Mark Bevan, for T. Higgins and Joe Burrow, going very big on Cincinnati. I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow. That's just what it is. So I acquire him and his backup. Had him before in multiple other fantasies, redraft, and for Dynasty. I like him a lot. Solid pocket passer. Jalen Hurts does what he does. He's higher ranked. A lot of it evolves around his run game, but he's solid. He's good. The wide receivers, you'd probably rank T higher than Jeudy, and since then we've seen Jeudy move 2 times, T. Higgins once. So we'll get into that a little bit more. T. Higgins is also still battling for a contract situation, and Judy's locked in. So it was a pretty solid 50-50 deal there, I think. After that, I made a move with T. Mello to acquire Christian Kirk. So I moved old man George Kittle there with his core muscle surgery for Christian. Not a big fan of the name, but we did that deal to acquire the first wide receiver, what some would say is a sleeper, from the Jags, to kind of reinforce my first overall pick. Next deal after that was again myself. Look, I'm making money moves, baby. Damn. This one was A to the Dizzo. So I was moving Singletary, T. Higgins, McMillan for Juju and Kincaid. I was hurting bad. Like bad for a tight end. It's no joke about that. I was in the rough. So it's an expensive move. A to the Dizzo acquires another wide receiver, and as well Devin Singletary. And just like that, breaking news. Your boy Jelly has just picked up Dalvin Cook, dropping Kareem Hunt. That's Josh Gosh Bagosh, or however the fuck you say the name, because I just say it different every time. Has just picked up old man Dalvin and dropped old man Kareem. So we'll have to look in to see what's going on with Dalvin there, because I got an inkling that since he didn't respond to my fucking text message, that he must have some kind of insider information on Dalvin Cook. Next deal here, last one that I've done recently, was Hopkins, Henry, and shipping out Edwards, Abanikanda, and my first-round pick. We've seen a couple first-round picks move out here. Again, just solidifying the running back situation, going for the ship. Hopkins, older guy, going for the ship. It's a big move trade there. Trade right now as well that happened earlier this morning. We see Luke Musgrave and Will Shipley, 2 very young guys, get shipped up for Njoku, who not 100 years old. He was doing all right for himself. But he's it's a nice trade. It's a nice trade, I think, for both teams. It's going to lock in Jelly there for his tight end situation. I mean, he's got Kelsey, but, we all know Kelsey's 100 years old. And then we've got Musgrave, who's only about 24. Will Shipley's going to be about 2021. And he's also ranked very high for a running back. And he's one of the notables that came off as an undrafted free agent. So it was a big snipe for Jelly at the time. And now he moves over to Play Action Jackson. He was somebody that didn't get drafted in our league, ends up being around 2,000, I think, by now 1,900 for his keep cut trade value. He is looking at most likely being the straight backup for Saquon, which we know who has the odd injury. It's a steal. He was put in for 6 claims out of the 12 teams when he came up for free agency on there. So it's not like people didn't know anything about what's going on with him, but he's looking like a nice pick up there. So other than that, we did have Bowens making a deal with T Mello, moving Marvin Mims. T Mello was moving Marvin Mims to be able to get Khalil Herbert and Brendan Rice. This is where Rice was moved for a third time as well. It's tough, but it's another move that was needed to be done. Bowens was stacked up Chicago and Chargers, so it was something that he needed to do. It was an important move, I think, but good for both teams. I actually really liked it. It was a good move by T Mello, good move by Bowens. It's solid trade both ways, and that's what I like to see is a nice even trade both ways. I mean, everyone likes a rip off every now and then, Gibbs or whatever, or Kelsey or whatever else like that. This is one here that people got a little fired up about. Cade Otton, A.D. Mitchell for Evan Ingram, Gus Edwards. Now, a lot of talk about how much Evan Ingram's worth. He is a unreal tight end. He ranked number 2 last year. He was top 10 the year before. Even with the wide receiver threats, even though they've changed this year, he's always showed up to play. But he is 30 years old with a revamped wide receiver core, with a quarterback that's going on to the final year of his deal that's not locked in. His value for this year looks great. After that, it's iffy. Gus Edwards is 29 years old. He's looking to probably have a great year. He's got J.K. and his messed up ACLs behind him. And then he's got Kamani Vidal, the rookie running back as well. So take it as you will. Dench selected some solid players that are going to go out and try and push it for this year for a championship run after a great playoff run last year. Marshmallow. He's going to get himself 2 young, good, solid players, I think. Cade Otton comes into it. He's a young guy, 24-ish, 25 probably, around that. Number 1 tight end. His options out there, or I guess you'd say rivals to get the ball, are going to be Godwin and Evans. Both of them older. He's sitting himself in a pretty nice spot. And if Baker starts using him, as I would expect he's going to start, he can go off. So that's 2 young acquisitions right there. You're looking at Play Action has moved 2 older tight ends and got a boatload of these younger players as well. A.D. Mitchell, a guy that was projected to be a second round, at one point, first round wide receiver, acquired in this. So he's sitting with 2 Colts wide receivers. Got himself the next, what could be up and coming running back for the Eagles. Number 1 tight end for the Packers. Number 1 tight end for the Bucks. The other 2 teams get themselves solid tight ends and other positional players that are going to help them on a push for their championship chase. So everyone's really diving in here. I think there was one more I like. There was the Jacoby Myers over to T. Mello and what was known as the let me see, how was it pronounced again or brought up? The competitive rebuilding team. First ever competitive rebuilding dynasty team. So big eye on him. The other big trade, this is the one I was looking for. And this is what happens when you take some time off. You get a little rusty over here. You start missing some stuff, all right? So we're getting back in it, though. Okay, we're getting back in it.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
So we're getting back at it. Bowens, as myself, same thing. Both decided to ship out our first-round picks. He got Kamara, a little bit younger, fresher legs. I went with Henry. It's stacking up play action for a 26th triple first-round selection, and still has us 25. It's solid moves. I am a big fan of it. You got to know when your team can compete. What's the point of holding older players and draft picks, that you don't think you're really going to use or get anything from? Am I going to benefit from another rookie next year? 2 years from now? I mean, my team looks like it's ready to just push for a finals every year. And I've got young players, expendable ones. If we make our way over to maybe more of a Williams Racing side where you've got a very young roster and you start chucking in older dudes, it's going to make things a little more iffy. And when you've got a competitive rebuild team, you have to remember that, and it will be posted again, and it will be posted before the beginning of the season, the team with the least amount of total overall points for will be first overall selection. If you are a weak team and you're acquiring players that could go off, you're not helping yourself towards getting a top pick. It is all players, including your bench. The points will be counted. You can't stash a player, and this will help teams that are in a worse position or losing position to actually gain. There's one difference compared to this year. Well, this year coming up to last year's draft, and that was you like that in Cam. Cam was able to sneak and get a top five pick. His team is not bad, and he was able to acquire even better on there. So other than that, everybody else was actually down by worse points for. So it's gonna be a good route. It's gonna be a nice one. We're gonna give Jelly the fire here. So now that we're done with the general of that, a couple breaking news there. Roster moved during a podcast. For some reason that doesn't happen too often, but it happened. So we'll have to take a look after and see what's going on with that. Draft grades. Almost 20 minutes in here. We're going to see if we can get through these here. I got a good feeling about it. I loved it. I can't wait for the next one. Who doesn't love a good draft? And right here, we're going to be able to kind of see where everybody was and the selections that they made. This is by order, and you can kind of see as well with the arrows on each of these different picks here, what that pick or who owned that pick at that position. There's a mixture on draft picks here. Some people walking in here with none, Mr. Mello, as you can see here. some 5. So there's a good mixture. So I'm just going to kind of go through them here and give a general on what I feel for each team. So we're going to start off first overall. T-Mello went off hot. It was a mixture between Harrison and Williams, and that was the talk for like 2 months, it felt like. The selection was finally made, and it's Caleb Williams, which I think was the correct decision to make. Everybody likes Maserati Marv, but when you don't have quarterbacks, you need a quarterback, especially when it's in a 2 QB Superflex league. Well, he went with 2 QBs, which was a little surprising, but we'll dive into this. So Caleb Williams is number 1. Through some trading and some deals, which again, great pick. Keon Coleman, which was a pick that was received from Josh Gosh through the suspect Jahmyr Gibbs deal. Keon Coleman was selected, so he gives himself a first on a QB, next on a wide receiver, goes back to him for another quarterback, which I was surprised during draft day. I did not expect to see him to go with 2 quarterbacks that way, but he did. Just because I felt like it really dropped off. But we're going to see how Bo Nix plays. Seems pretty confident on it. So yeah, I went Bo Nix. And after that, he was able to select a running back with Jalen Wright. One that I really like. Crazy speed. Kid's going to go crazy when he gets the chance. So T-Mello gets himself 2 quarterbacks, wide receiver, and a running back. And I say at that point I was impressed alone right there. I mean, it's good. Again, not a big fan of the second QB, but puts him with 2 starters. I mean, even he's got another one with Daniel Jones, but gets him 2 starters. And then he tops it off with Troy Franklin, and that's the end of his draft. I liked it. 2 wide receivers, 2 quarterbacks, a running back. It's looking good. I like it a lot, and it sitting and trying to figure out what kind of grading I was going to give him, and it helped cover a lot of parts of his teams. His trades afterwards have been suspect, but I mean, with what the draft was and what the grades are for this, it's an easy A for me. I think he maybe could have went and stacked up on the RB position. But other than that, you can't really complain here. I mean, like, look at this. It's great. And for a kind of draft like this, to be able to grab a positional player from almost all of them, it's awesome. So easy A there for Williams on that one. Next up was the Bartlett Bulldogs, number 2. A quarterback needy team again, and he was basically sitting and waiting to find out if Caleb Williams was going to be available or not, because if not, it's not like it was another quarterback at number 2. It had to be Marv. It didn't make any sense really to go after another guy that's out there right now, not at number 2 overall. So Maserati Marv goes off number 2. Big fan of that one. The second round pick of his was swapped around with Bowens, so he didn't get a selection again until 211, but made up for it with Marshawn Lloyd. This is a guy here, Marshawn Lloyd, like they're talking about how, I mean, if Josh Jacobs does only have 1 year played, you're looking at Lloyd popping off. I mean, he could slip in this year for all we know. So another great spot right there. I like that one a lot. And then able to select again now at 3.4. Big fan of 3.4. Roman Wilson. It's a team that doesn't have any wide receivers. And it just so happens at the same time that the Bulldogs were able to acquire both quarterbacks from Pittsburgh. So you're locking in yourself a bit of a handcuff. I like it. One positional player from each of the top 3. It's, all that's needed there. Again, it wasn't a very strong tight end class, so there was great guys there, but wasn't a need for him, and he picked up on all 3 spots, one of each, and how can you go wrong with that? So liked it a lot. It looked like some smart drafting there, and yeah, I'm in for it. Yeah, he was able to pick up his quarterbacks, like I said, upgrade there, go with some strong wide receivers here, great running back. He's already okay with tight ends, so good offseason stuff, but again, draft grades. So number 1 for the wide receiver grade, and everything also great. So I don't see how it's not another A. It's great selections. After that, now we move down to the New Jersey Generals, the not trading team, the team that's got a couple people fired up there, right? But hey, it's okay. This is dynasty mode, all right? Not every general manager in dynasty or any redraft has to do a trade. You run your team how you want to run your team, and that's just it. You say your lineup, that's what the Commish loves. Okay? Respond to messages, we like that too. If you don't like the trade, just decline it. Don't wait. His 3 selections, right down the line, not trading, right? Easy peasy. Romo Dunes, A. Trey Benson, Spencer Rattler. Love the O'Dunes. Love the Benzie. Iffy on the Rattler. I know the selection would have been between Neighbors and O'Dunes. After speaking to the general manager there, he seemed like he was very high on the Chicago wide receivers. He may have to wait a season. We'll have to see what the connection is with Caleb. They're pretty stacked up there with DJ Moore and Old Man Keenan, but we'll see how it plays out. He's probably going to be a killer, and he's the future of that team. You got 32-year-old Keenan, you got 27-year-old, 28-year-old DJ, so I like to pick a lot. It's a pretty obvious one, right? You got to go with it. After that, Benson, the first running back off the board for our draft, killer. James Conner's got 1 year maybe left here, and that's my dog. He's got maybe 1 year left. He's going to take over, be a starting guy. And then it comes down to Rattler. I was iffy on it, but looking at the Generals, you got Brock, which is great. So you're kind of feeling good about that. You've got Richardson. That's nice. But then you just drop down to Aaron Rodgers. So taking the gamble on Carr not doing well, which isn't that crazy. And we'll see if Rattler gets any snaps this year. But I thought it was a pretty good draft. I liked it a lot. I'm not gonna give it the old A on it. I feel like with those 2 first picks, like they're really nice. So I'm definitely gonna give it a B. Equals B plus. I like it a lot. The Rattler one's a little iffy, but the 2 others are bomb. I love them, but can't be handing out A's to everybody out here. We're looking at Dune's guy. He's got competition. Benson's got not going to take over the ball right away this year, and Rattler's a question mark. But love the first 2 picks. They're really good. After that was you like that. That's Mr. Cam here. He has done some moves, so you can see his second and third weren't to him. I liked the draft. He fell asleep at 1 pick, but I liked it. So he started off hot right away with Jaden Daniels. I guess he wasn't liking that anymore, if you get what I mean. The time for Kirk was at the end for his squad, and that's actually a trade I slipped up on as well, and that just shows how far back we are. Kirk Cousins is now on Mr. Bowen's squad. So, whoa. But Jaden Daniels, I like him. I think he's a killer. I was a little surprised that he was going to be the second QB off there because it was a big mixture with him and May. But, and there was talks about JJ even being up there with like number 2. But, yeah, I mean, I like it. I think Jaden Daniels is going to pop off. I think he's going to do pretty damn good. So, Jaden Daniels was the first one off for him. And after that, he fell back down to the 3rd round. And that was with 2 different picks. The first one is the one that he was probably up on the golf course for, and that was Jatavian Sanders. So he probably was worth it to be taken in the draft, especially in the third round. He was not needed for his squad, and sadly his assistant GM, probably the caddy, selected him. So straight to the taxi. He is supposed to be the third best tight end, though. So, I mean, it's not the worst thing. He's got the older Hawkinson out there. You know, I think it's a fine pick, but, you know, not the greatest to come to it, especially when it wasn't his selection. It then falls down to 3.11, getting pretty deep in there with Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving will be backing up Rashad for sure this year, and it could be even next year. Rashad's still ripping up onto that rookie contract. He had the most usage last year for a running back, so I don't expect too much from Bucky unless Rashad's wheels just completely fall off. So a bit of a question mark on him as well. So for the draft, it wasn't the best. That's why I'm gonna put. Even though I like Jaden Daniels, but it's hard to put him up there into a strong category there. So I'm gonna give him probably about I'll be generous here. I'll give him a C+, but just because of Jaden Daniels, the other two not wanting that pick himself, and then taking a backup of the heaviest usage running back of last year, it's tough. It's like taking the backup for Derrick Henry in his prime at that point. So I'm mixed on it. So I give him a C+ on that. Again, great quarterback selection on there. We'll see if he gets used day one. But the rest of it, a little iffy. Next is Mark Bevan, sporting under the team name of Mark Bevan. So can't wait to see that change because that's brutal. He was able to get himself fucking hot and rowdy at number 5. And again, this is a guy that knows his ball and showed it here. So already kind of set up at quarterback position, and most others really. It was kind of turning into a bit of a laugh for him. So going into it already set up, it's just selecting a lot of players that are just going to keep on helping that team with progressing forward and keep it nice and safe. So selecting Malik Neighbors at 1.5 was a great pick. Having him fall to 5, even better. He wasn't even expected to be there. Now, he doesn't have a quarterback, but we're talking about fucking prospects here. Like, perfect. Next was Jay Brooks. Awesome. Most likely coming into it. I mean, I know he's had an injury, but third running back off. Probably should have been second. And he, should be able to take over that starting job right away. You got Chubby Hubbard out there, and you've got Miles, waste of a contract, not doing anything Sanders. So, good pick. And then popping it off at number 3, Malachi Corley. Great selection there. Of course, he's going to be always the number 2 as long as Garrett Wilson's there. But great pick. I like him. Nice wide receiver, especially in the third round. So I was a big fan of his. I think it's pretty easy to hit to hand off an A on this one. I like it a lot. I like all the players there. I think they're all gonna do very decent. It could even be this year. So a big fan of that at 5. After that, it is Go Shorty, It's Her Birthday. Yeah, so this was a complete auto draft for 6. Sad to see. It happens, but sadly also the only one that happened other than Mr. Cam's one pick. So all autoed through. I don't think really any of them were needed at the position for there, so it would have been interesting to see how this GM would have handled it. But they get Drake May at 1.6, Ricky Pearsall at 2.6, and Braylon Allen at 3. I actually like all these players. I don't know what the GM's going to do towards us. I already heard there's a hunt on for May to be able to get him moved. Pearsall's going to be at least a number 3 or 4 wide receiver out there, whereas there's other ones on this list that could have been made up as a maybe 2-3, 1-3. So that's iffy. And then Braylon Allen is going to be fighting for a backup job because Breece Hall is a solid dynasty running back. So with that and knowing it's an all auto and not sure how exactly he would have went with this draft, I'm going to give it, I like May, but the other two are iffy on there, so I'm just going to give it a C. It's not knowing how this team exactly wanted to do with this. It's kind of tough, but C for Shorty, and hopefully next year we see some activity on the draft day. After that goes to 1.7, and this is the third GM in a row that did not make a trade for its picks, and we'll see 4 in a row here, for their own at least, but acquiring others instead. We were going with a heavy Xavier draft here. Xavier Worthy, Xavier Leggett, Xavier Hutchinson for some reason, and also the only veteran taken off the board, as well as Javon Baker. So very heavy wide receiver. I think this is along the lines of taking the best available player, and I like it. You're looking at Worthy could be a possibility as a number 2-3 wide receiver. Leggett could be a number 1-2-3 wide receiver, and Baker could be as well up there in the 2-3 wide receiver. So for a half-point PPR, makes sense to me. Hutchinson, not so much. Weird, but the other ones, though, I like them a lot, especially Leggett. I love that accent. If you haven't heard it yet, search it. Very good. So, Apocalypse Now, new name as well. I like it. It's good. He didn't really need anything. His team is ranked first in basically every category. Give him a solid B. I like it. It's good. Again, he didn't really need anything. They're good players. They've got good talent. Fuck it. You know what? I'm convincing myself it's going to be a B+. It's good. It's good picks. Dench. One of my number one fans of the pod. I like it. J.J. McCarthy. A.D. Mitchell. Jermaine Burton. And then ending it off with old Ray Davis. So another guy that's selecting one from each position. I forgot Bowers too. Like, this guy is just milking the draft picks this year. Especially my boy. Fucking trade him to me. So he did well selecting one of each position and multiples for wide receiver. I mean, it's solid. To get JJ at 1.8 and then Bowers for 1.9. I mean, couldn't really ask for much more than that. 2 top tier for the position. A.D. Mitchell was not been traded, and Jermaine Burton, big fans of them, especially Burton. He could be slide himself right into a number 3 spot here, maybe 2, depending on what happens with the contract. Mitchell at the time, especially being drafted for him, looking like a number 2, and then Ray Davis as well, a number 2, and giving him a backup for there. So, big fan of Denchworth in his draft. I think it's an easy A, especially at the position of 8 and acquiring 2 other draft picks. Loving it. It's great. Got no qualms at all. So keep it up, Dench, and I'll see you in another league soon. Play action. Pretty easy draft grade to give here. We're going to give him the NA for not available. Moved all of his draft picks while doing some action on undrafted. It's a tough decision, but I mean, he acquired himself 2 superstar quarterbacks and is now moving himself into a younger set team. So, sometimes the draft ain't all what it is and all what you need depending on your team. I think great moves. Next up after that, the Superstar Squad Burrow Bombers. We went with the best available, and that's just it. And I hate Ladd McConkey's name. BTJ, hoping for the best for him. Risky, but, he's supposed to be the 5th best wide receiver. Allegedly, maybe even 4th. I took him. Best option. And after that, watching and hoping that some running backs were going to fall down to me, I was happily surprised. Blake Corum landed there. So we're sitting here, cross fingers. Hopefully Kyron has a very healthy season. And it's great for us. Love it. Love the picks. Hoping to keep them. I'm always up for a deal, though. You know me. So, we're happy with them right now. both of them aren't really of need. Corum's going to have to go to the backup. Thomas is going to be number 2, 3. So, I'll give myself a B for taking best available. Again, BTJ is projected to be pretty decent, and if anything does happen to Kyron or that situation for the Rams, Corum pops. Marface. My rival. This guy had draft picks all over the fucking board. So, 111, 2.2, 2.12, and 3.10. We got Lad McConkey, worst name in the league, Michael Penix, Ben the Senator Senate, and Kimmy Vidal. One of each position taken here. I don't know if it was him or a Discord guy that selected him, but one of each position was taken. And again, it looks like a very, for the most part, best available there. So I like the Vidal because, again, like we talked about with Gus earlier in the deal, there's a chance for him to maybe get some playing time even this year, if not next year by the looks of it, unless they select a different dude. But I like it as a third-round pick. It's really good. Ben the Senate Senator, second best tight end coming up into here. I mean, taking him at 212. It's wicked. At 212, fucking sweet. So, good selection there. Some people would argue he's the best. Obviously, he's not. Bowers is statistically the greatest tight end to ever come out of college, but Senate's really good. Should be. And he's got a rookie tight end or quarterback to go with him. He's got good wide receivers to help maybe bounce the ball towards him. So, I like it. Penix was a interesting pick. I did not expect that one. He did acquire Kirk after, but I'm still a little mixed on how that's going to work out. So we'll see what happens with Penix. He's already 24. It could be 3 years before he gets to start. So at 2.2, maybe a bit expensive. Honestly, he probably could have got him later. But yeah, we'll have to see with Penix. And then there's Ladd. And Ladd's projected to be pretty damn good. And maybe even the number one right off the hop for the Chargers. Is he built like Keenan or Mike Williams that used to be there? No. But, if he can become the secret little Edelman there, that'd be great. But he needs some support around there. So I like the draft. It was good. A lot of selections there. And surprisingly enough, he still owns all of them. So that's nice. But I want to give it a nice B+ on that because it's a good solid selection of players. Penix is the only kind of question mark for it, but the other three, I mean, it's chance and opportunity, and it's right there. So we'll see how that works out for him. And last and not least, Mr. Dalvin Cook himself. Osh Bosh Gosh for Gosh. Definitely needs to change his name about as much as Mark Bevan needs to, and about as less as what the Chiberian Fossers or Williams Racing or whatever his name is now. Okay. This is going to be quick and easy. He had one pick, and that was Jalen Polk. He's a New England guy, loves the New England boys. Polk's going to run in there as a top pick right there. Polk could go off, maybe. We'll see, but not bad, right? One selection, wide receiver. He traded all his other draft picks away to acquire, more talent for right now. It's a win now team. But yeah, it's Jalen Polk, one pick, third rounder. You look at some of the ones after that, maybe he could have got another guy in there, or Sanders or Rattler. Not really. It's tough, but I don't mind it. But for needs and everything, it's more just acquiring a guy, I guess, that you really like. So we'll base it kind of more on a C+ for it. Not many picks to really have, so tough to handle in there. But yeah, there's what I'm going with for our draft grades. A little gracious out there. We've 3 C's out of 12, not bad. One not available. But I think people generally did good. I liked it. can't wait for the next draft. Hopefully by next podcast, we're going to see ourselves a couple name changes here. You like that? It's got to go. Mark Bevan's got to go. Not the person, but the name. And whatever the fuck Gosh is. It's a solid draft. I love it. And the league's running very nicely right now. I love the activity of it. Love hearing about it. Love people that got interest in hearing about this kind of stuff here. It's a great hobby for me. It takes no time. But yeah, we'll keep her going. And if there's anything else, I'll try and get my mushy brain here to figure it out. Off sick here for a couple weeks trying to get the fuzzy wuzzies out from up top. But if anything sounded fucked, just think of it as a little rusty trombone over here, and my brain's a little fuzzy. But other than that, I think it went pretty good for returns. So yeah, with saying that, I'll exit you out with some more Darren Waller, and I highly recommend to give that song a 1 second listen, and it'll make you smile because how bad it is. But yeah, well, I'll also post a link in the about for this. But yeah, have a good one, boys. Keep trading. Be nice to each other. Love each other. Bye. Love you.
You know, in life, it's hard to love. It's hard to be free. It's hard to give out of your soul and